fish in the air. This boy's name is Fish, and you can see him writing his name in Chinese. When his birthday came, his mother made him shoes, which looked like fish. When the Lantern Festival came, his father bought him a lantern, which looked like a fish. When the kite season came, when people went out into the fields to fly kites, Little Fish said to Big Fish, his father, "Honorable Fish, I want you to buy me the biggest kite that looks like a fish." So his father took him to the street where the kites are made. There were hundreds of kites ready, and more in the making. Some looked like dragons, and some looked like owls. Some looked like flowers, and some looked like butterflies. In the last store was the biggest kite of all kites, and it looked like a fish. "That is the one I want," said Little Fish to Big Fish. And the father took his purse out of his belt and bought the big kite for a shining silver dollar. Then they went back the way they had come and turned into the street that leads to the south gate, and through the south gate to the open fields where they could find a good place to fly kites. Just when Big Fish and Little Fish turned around the last corner, there was a typhoon, which means big wind, waiting behind it, and whee! The wind grabbed the fish kite, tore it out of Little Fish's hand, and pulled it up into the air. But the boy held on to the string, and he held it so tight that he was lifted right off the ground and landed on top of the big straw hat of a man who was carrying 2 tubs of fish. All the fish were spilled on the street. From the straw hat, Little Fish went stepping to the nose of the grouchy letter writer, who was just looking up to see what was going on above him. From the nose of the letter writer, Little Fish gave a flying leap to the snout of the fierce dragon that makes one corner of the south gate. With another, much bigger leap, Little Fish sailed out in the open sky, still carried by the fish kite. The people in the street stood gaping and said, "There go the big fish and the little fish." The people in the fields looked up and wondered about the 2 fishes in the air. Now the boy and the kite were over the river. On the riverbank sat Old Man Low, which means stork, fishing with a huge net for the little fish which swim along near the banks of the river. He fished as his father had fished before him, and his grandfather and his great-great-grandfather, by letting the net down into the water and taking a nap between letting it down and pulling it up. Old Man Low did not see the fishes in the air because he was just napping. But somebody up in the clouds saw them, and down he swooped with his big yellow eyes and his sharp beak. It was a fish hawk, and he rushed at the fish kite and, zip, tore it to pieces with one bite. When he tasted the paper from which the fish was made, he was disgusted and flew straight back into the clouds. When this happened, Little Fish, still holding tight to the string, stopped sailing through the air and dropped straight down. Fortunately, at this point, his new gown, which was starched, opened up like an umbrella, and he glided gently down toward the river. splash! There he landed, right into the net of Old Man Low, who was just then napping. When little fish hit the net, Old Man Low was jerked out of his nap by the rope with which he pulled the net up. He scrambled to his feet and pulled, shouting with joy, for he thought he had caught a big catfish worth $1. Now the net came out of the water, and there he saw a boy struggling and blowing. But before he could think of anything except catfish and $1, there came the father of the boy puffing down the river bank and shouting, "Hey, Old Man Low, I buy the fish you caught for $1. So Old Man Low pulled and pulled, just as if he had caught a catfish. And soon he had little fish on dry ground, and everybody was happy. When father and son walked home, Little Fish said, "Honorable Fish, I want you to buy me the smallest fish kite there is."